Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unravelling the neurodivergent experience.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome all you lovely new listeners, because we've had a bit of a green boost. Bit of a green boost lately.
We're in the green. Yes, hello. If this is your first time listening to the Neurodivergent Experience, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And thank you to a lot of people that are tuning in. We've got an awful lot of American listeners now, Jordan, which is awesome.
Yeah, as because we love America. We just hate American policies and government and Trump is an
everything that's going on at the moment.
Just right immediately, we'll just get straight into that. But no, we won't. Let's ease. Let's dip a toe. Let's dip a toe before we get into this hot molten lava bath of shit that we're just about to go into.
Yeah,
how are you?
Today's a fun one. How
this
morning
in your new house?
Yes, I am in the crib. I'm in my new house, and I finally slept through the night for the first time 3 days in a row for what feels like months and months and months. I got to sit in my garden, and I was in it going, I own you. You belong to me. So it's been very good.
After 30 years of mortgage payments.
Yeah, all right. Don't fucking hell. Let me enjoy it for a week. Jesus. I've really enjoyed being in the house. I've started my new job with the Autistic Culture podcast, and I am loving working with those guys. I brought my first episode as a guest out with them, which is where I'm potentially wondering if this is where our American listeners have come from. So hello, welcome. I did an episode all about one of my favourite bands, My Chemical Romance, and why they are an autistic part of autistic culture, and absolutely loved it. I got to just essentially info dump on a special interest for about an hour. So if you like this podcast, guys, do me a favour, go and listen to the Autistic Culture podcast so that I can continue to keep the house.
Yeah. If you don't listen, he will immediately get evicted.
But no, seriously, Matt and Angela are awesome. I've loved working with them. It's great having neurodivergent co-workers and working on a neurodivergent project just like this one. And I'm absolutely loving it. And if you love this podcast, you'll love it as well. So go and support them. They support us.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the only bad thing is I'm not there. I mean, to be fair.
Well, you could be there. Maybe we'll have you on as talking about why photography is autistic. If that's something you could get around your demand of audience.
I'm so burnt out. Leave me alone.
Yeah, all right. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it.
One day, maybe, possibly. But my news...
Let it
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, what have you bought this week?
I bought my daughter home from university. Sophie is here. Say hello.
Hello.
It's my baby girl.
She's not being held against her will, I promise.
My baby girl is back. My little mini-me. My protege. My Padawan. My daughter.
How long till she moves out again?
Awesome. Oh, I can't wait. My boss girl. Check this out, right? Sophie, what did you do this week?
I came back here from uni, and in the first day I went for 2 job interviews because I just wanted to get on with it, and I got the first job, and I'm starting on Monday.
She
awesome.
Already got a job. She came back and before 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, she's got a 42-hour 5-day-a-week job doing something she really enjoys. Not to do with your degree?
No, I'm just doing a bit of gardening work so I can save to go travelling at the end of the year with my boyfriend Christopher, and then get some actual volunteer conservation kind of experience in, so I can actually move on to whatever I want to do later in my life.
That
She's got a plan,
is awesome.
man.
A plan.
And
I've never had a plan.
It's her plan.
That's great.
Dude, 21. My plan was earn enough money to pay the mortgage so I don't lose the house and somehow bring up 2 children that I didn't even know were autistic.
Yeah.
That was my plan. I was just like, it wasn't a plan. It was more of just reaction to the situations I was in. But my favorite thing as a parent in this situation is that you don't want that for your kids. You want better for your kids. So I'm able to provide like this support base for my children without smothering them, without helicopter parenting them. They do all of their stuff themselves, and when they need me, then I'm there. So all I've done is I drove Sophie to the interview, and then she made me sit in the car
amazing.
while I needed a poo.
Great, love that. Thank you. Oversharing 101 right there. Love that. But that's awesome, Sophie. I'm really, really pleased for you, and there is something really rewarding about going for a job and getting it. You know, especially coming straight out of university, it's not the easiest change of situation and culture. And the fact that you had a plan, my plan was to see how hungover I could be the next day at your age. So that's awesome. That's great that you've got goals, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at your age. Still don't now, and I'm 30 years old. But yeah, so it's going to be great to have you here. When we had you on before talking about growing up in an undiagnosed family, our listeners loved that episode. So I'm really excited to have you back today. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about in general, it's a couple of topics we've covered in our celebrating autism acceptance month. And even before that, it was a hot topic around Bella Ramsey, which is this whole idea of self-diagnosis, which neurotypicals seem to fucking hate. We'll have a little bit of a chat about that because we wanted to get the female perspective, because obviously boy, man, boy, talking a lot of the time. And we'll start there, essentially. As somebody who was diagnosed, what's your take on self-diagnosis?
I mean, I feel quite passionate about it, to be honest, because I've been around so many people that are so, in my eyes, obviously neurodivergent, just because of, you know, I had my job where I was mentoring neurodivergent teenagers and children and being like in the community and obviously understand myself. And then I see all of my very like close friends who we obviously get along because we share, you know, neurodivergent qualities. And it's so obvious that they are, but unless they have siblings that are, like one of my friends, she has like 3 brothers. 2 of them they're like the polar kind of opposite neurodivergent way to her, and they're gonna kind of, her brother's gonna need kind of support his whole life. He won't ever be able to live alone. He always needs someone to support him and care for him. And it's kind of like he's just what you would describe as like very what's the word? Stereotypical. And then obviously for her, she's been kind of overlooked all her life. And she met me and I was like, oh yeah, I'm autistic. And she is just the same as me. We were just both hyperactive, obsessed with certain things. We don't know when it's our turn to speak. When we're talking to each other, we're just speaking over each other. We're not even hearing each other.
I don't know anyone like that.
And the struggles the struggles like she goes through, the things that we both understand, we're just completely on the same level, but she's never seen herself as autistic or neurodivergent or ADHD or anything. It's just been her brother. Whereas, you know, then she met me and she's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, you definitely are, like, and for her, she still won't ever be able to say it unless she has that piece of paper. But for me, that just doesn't make any sense. You're exactly like me. We've been through basically the same things. We're looking at each other in the mirror. Like, I don't understand why you need someone to tell you what you already know when it's so clear. And I understand the whole thing of kind of seeing it as a quirk and making it sound like it's way less serious than it should be. And that's why people really put off kind of self-diagnosing. But I think I just always say to myself, why do you need someone to tell you something you already very, very clearly know and feel connected to? When you feel very connected to a group of people that you really feel like you fit in and you've really found yourself, I just don't understand why you need someone to tell you that. But I know it's a lot more complex than that, but I just meet so many girls, especially, that have been so overlooked. And even my best friend at uni, she all her life she's had really, to me, obvious struggles with being neurodivergent, but no one's ever understood that. She's just been anxious. She's just been diagnosed with anxiety, or she's just like has bipolar tendencies, and she's
misdiagnosis train.
Bipolar, BPD. I hear that so much with a lot of undiagnosed women that have been around me, especially.
Exactly. And I kind of just said to her, like, I think it was at the end of first year, I just went, I think you're neurodivergent. I'm not saying all your mental health issues are because of this or anything, but all her other traits and qualities as well. I'm like, girl, like, let's be serious.
Can I ask, Sophie, how did she react to that?
To be honest, at first, she just was kind of like, yeah, maybe, but almost kind of like, I don't know, like very not wanting to ever say yes, that must be it, or yeah, that could be me, because I think of societal's like opinions and views of that kind of self-diagnosing, of you don't want to label yourself because you don't want to be that kind of person who goes, I'm this and I'm that and blah, 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 and that means I can act however I want or however people are kind of stereotyping it. But she really thought about it. And then as the years went on, I kind of showed her even more like her neurodivergence and how she could always just relate to me. I kind of became my only friend at uni. She could just really relate to me. And I was like, I wonder why that is. And it could just be because I understand you and you understand me for a reason that no one else may understand. And then eventually she was like, you know what? I'm going for the diagnosis. And she went and she found out she was autistic. She got the diagnosis, but
through RTN.
Yeah, little plug. No, that's wonderful. And I think I love your style of advocating. This is the style of advocating that I try to do, which is don't tell them, show them. I think if you sit down in front of somebody and you go, the reason for this is because of, inactivity, like inattentiveness or hyperactivity, and you start like labeling people, then you are essentially sitting across from somebody like a doctor, but people don't trust that because there isn't almost like sort of like an authoritarian sort of, I am a doctor, what I say is what I mean, and there is no debating it. There's like no sort of like rhetoric that you can rebuttal with it. But when you're just sort of like a friend sat opposite somebody, there is a part of you that's going to be like, you don't know me. And I do get that from people. There have been times where I, in my early journey of advocating, was trying, to do this, and I didn't do a very good job of it. I'll be honest. It's because I didn't almost have the sort of enough experience at the time. But I think, especially with women as well, and I'm talking from a male perspective. It's not my perspective of being a woman, but I think because of like the research of Canner and Asperger's and the fact that a lot of the sort of studies were done on rich young white kids, there almost seems to be sort of this like measuring stick, this median line of this is what autism, ADHD is. I mean, I was reading an article for the show last week where somebody literally said, oh, little boys have ADHD. I can't have ADHD because I'm a woman. And I don't know sort of how we can really break through this without having to, get that piece of paper. It really does. It does worry me that, this sort of rhetoric is never really going to change until they do better research that isn't just focusing on where autism comes from.
Yeah.
But the issue is as well is if you really need that piece of paper because that's just who you are, that's absolutely fine. That's your personal preference. But to get that piece of paper is not an easy journey. It either requires a fair good of money that, I mean, young people like myself would need their parents to pay for.
My parents had to pay for my diagnosis,
exactly.
and because I just couldn't, I just didn't have £1,000 just lying around just to do that at the time.
Or you have to wait however long to get it through the NHS, which I know is very, very long.
Just as bad, though, is that there's a negative rhetoric as if you went private, you just paid to get a diagnosis. So a lot of people don't even find that valid, despite the fact that the people that you go to are professionals. Like it's a psychologist, and with ADHD, it's a psychiatrist. It's NHS approved. It's nice guidelines. It's all of this, right? As we know, like RTN and other assessment companies out there are. But straight away, because of that stupid bloody, it was an ITV or Channel 4 documentary about that guy's like, I just got diagnosed ADHD, but I'm not ADHD. I'm like, shut up, right?
I had it with that guy in the comments where he was like, why do we have to put labels on things? If I put a label on it, then it affects me. If I don't put a label on it, does it exist? I'm like,
It's just a constant uphill battle of just trying to say I'm a different type of human. Because let's be clear, there are many types of neurodivergence in the grand scheme of things. But if we just focus on autism, ADHD, because they're literally part of the same brain, as proven by science through the synaptic pruning process and the science based around that, it's genetic, it's evolution, right? I don't even know why this is up for debate. I don't know why, but I keep seeing this, there are other factors such as this and like air pollution and metals in baby food and elderly parents, and even still today, blaming parents as well.
Yeah.
Just blaming parents, like bad parenting causes ADHD. It's still out there. It's still out there. And it's just, let me be clear, fucking bollocks. Like, I cannot be more British with this.
Right.
It's fucking bollocks, governor, right? It's such rubbish. It is genetic. It is evolution. It is supposed to happen. That's why it is part of the synaptic pruning process. It's a lack of synaptic pruning that is different from every single one of us. It is what it is. Like, I don't know why this is a debate anymore. So instead of saying, the causes of autism or the causes of ADHD or the reasons, can we stop with this medical idea of this being like a disease or what was the word? No, it's not condition. Like, it's even worse than disease. Oh yeah, no, sorry, chronic.
Chronic, chronic.
Chronic disease.
Not the chronic, but just chronic disease.
Yeah, phrases like chronic disease, epidemic, treating it like it's freaking COVID or like morbid obesity
like
and diabetes in children. It's not those things. There are causes of those things. There isn't a cause. The only cause of autism and ADHD is sex.
The passing of the genetic code, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that parents did to cause autism was being autistic themselves.
And that's what makes it so weird when you, like, I see these girls that they have brothers and things that are, like, obviously or whatever, autistic.
Yeah, more obviously.
They have that autistic haircut.
You're like...
DSM-5 autistic.
You're like... so related to each other. What, you think that just went past you,
Yeah, they swerved you.
It nearly got me.
Yeah, like in the Matrix, autism is just flying over them and they're just dodging it.
I think it nicked me. I like trains now. Yeah,
I've got a little bit of autism.
Damn, they got me. Yeah. But that's a great point that you bring up, Sophie, because I know loads of people throughout my life that have had family that have this, like, I hate the phrase, but like quote unquote profound autism. The DSM-5 sort of autism, and they
low functioning.
And like, I genuinely used to hang out with somebody at university who had a sister who was, in their words, quote unquote, low functioning. Really struggled with being mute, had issues with breaking out of hyperfocus, struggled with demand avoidance. And
Sounds like Christopher.
he might. He might listen to this. But essentially, like, you know, my friend had a perception of what autism was and viewed her younger sibling as that is autism. I know autism. I've grown up around autism. You're nothing like my sibling, so that means you are nothing like autism. And that's something that I've really struggled with. I mean, when you were at university, being an advocate and being as well read and as well spoken as you are about neurodivergence, what sort of like debates, rebuttals did you find yourself in? Because there must have been some people that, you know, you were talking about, even saying I'm autistic. There must have been some people that pushed back on you with that.
Funny you say that. For some reason, a lot of people that I say like I'm autistic ADHD. They're like, yeah.
I think you got more grief. You got more grief for being vegan.
Yeah,
didn't you?
Like, no, not really. Everyone at uni is pretty chill. But
what about being vegan? Wasn't everyone really, really shocked that you eat avocados, like you're posh or something? Sorry, I'm just way off. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, that was my northern friend. She was shocked that I was eating avocados.
Yeah, and it wasn't made of coal or something.
Avocado, that's who drops your shopping off, isn't it?
But so many people at uni still have so many misconceptions about everything. And I remember I was just sitting there doing some work in the library and I couldn't help myself, but I overheard this girl and this guy, they were talking about autism, and they were saying that they might be that they did a test, like an online one, and it came back saying this, and they were saying all the things that I'm just shocked that people my age are still saying about autism, that they see it in such a black and white way. And I just couldn't help myself, but I just went in and in the conversation, I was like, hello, I'm a neurodivergent advocate, and let me just tell you something, and I'm autistic myself. And we had a really nice conversation about it, and the girl was saying that her brother exactly was autistic and very much how you describe low functioning.
Yeah, it's only the boys.
And I literally had this exact whole conversation with her. It's like, you don't need a piece of paper to know who you are or what you struggle with. And at the end of the day, these struggles that you're facing, and the same applies to my friends and myself, is just because you're not having reasonable adjustments in your life for being different. And so the struggles that we're all facing as neurodivergent girls, they're also similar because we just need to have reasonable adjustments put in place. Like, that's that. And the more we go, no, we have to have this piece of paper to make sure that we have this in place, it's just inhibiting so much potential in all of these people and actually causing mental health problems because they need a piece of paper to tell them that they are able to have reasonable adjustments. I think that's ridiculous. And that's why, I just told her, you know who you are, you know who you relate to. And just because you and your brother are completely different, me and my brother are completely different.
So different.
So I'm going for a gardening job, and
So
Simon will
different.
sit in his room all day, absolutely happily confined in a space. I cannot do that. I cannot do it.
He's got an indoor job. He works from home. He's on the computer all day, and he loves the routine and the predictability of his job. Where Sophie's like, I want to be in a new place every day. I want to see a new garden. I want to meet new people.
Because I get bored.
I want to pull out new weeds.
I'm a bit of both.
Mow different lawns.
And Simon's making all kinds of kombucha in the fridge, whereas I'm making all kinds of different breads,
I have no room for any of my own food. It's just kombucha and
So
bread.
essentially you're opening
It's
a
just
cafe is what
everywhere.
you're doing. You're just opening a cafe.
It seems like that. We're just like, would you like some bread and have some kombucha with it? Honestly,
I can't wait until
it's
you
like
open your front
Bake Off
door and
meets mixology.
There's a queue there.
It's-
That's great.
There's so much tism, ADHD-tism going on.
And we're so different. And even at school, we're very different. And it just...
But yet they're both super smart. Both now have a degree, Simon in economics, Sophie a marine biologist, which could not be any different. as far as like interests and
Numbers and fish.
futures are concerned. Yeah. So I have one more question before we go for our little break. As far as being female, do you think, Sophie, that it's more the fact that women want the piece of paper simply because if a man says he's ADHD or a boy or a man says that they're autistic, that's far more likely to be accepted, even if we don't fit the negative rhetoric, it's far more likely to be accepted because we are male, and women, because of obviously the history of them just being completely looked over constantly. Oh, it's just anxiety, or it's just bipolar, or it's just borderline personality. All of these misdiagnoses, all could be real diagnosis alongside being autistic. Do you think that they don't want to be like, yeah, I am autistic because of that judgment, because of it mostly being boys?
I think girls especially lack confidence in general, and then going around and being able to state your differences and who you are and what you need is just so much that a lot of people will face a lot of difficulty with that, and especially women, because they lack confidence in themselves to even speak out. You know, if you've, you know, I'm built different. Sometimes I feel like I'm like the alpha of the room.
You're alpha of every room except the room that I'm in.
I can shock people, but especially girls, that I can say in a group of people, yeah, I'm autistic, I don't, you know, this is how I need it, this is how I'm going to do it. And I think girls in general struggle to speak out in groups. I've witnessed that throughout like uni when we're doing group and research projects. The people who are leading it are the boys. The people who are making the final decision are the boys. And you see that through like academia. It's just kind of how it is, and it's changing. But then you add, oh, I also need this as a woman because I'm different, or this is who I am. We already feel that we're getting judged by just being a woman and being too like outspoken or being too bossy, and then adding that on top of it, I can see in other people's head that it makes us feel like we're coming across a certain way, which is just like people will stop listening to you because of that. And I have had you know, actually you said earlier, have you kind of experienced anything like that at uni? And I look back and I did have this one group project where I was working just with two other girls. It was just a female setting. And I did say that I had processing issues and I'm autistic. So, you know, just have that in mind. But I'm not stupid. I just have processing issues. And I was reading something and I said, look, if I can't understand that, I don't understand how other people are going to understand that. And it's because we were doing a video for the public about, I think it was sea levels rising and warming. And I said, so if I don't get that, I don't understand how other people are going to get that. I mean, that's just looking at accessibility. That's looking at the general public understanding like scientific knowledge. And she looked at me and she went, well, you know, I know, the thing is, I know other people would. And I was like, oh.
It's very dismissive.
And that was that.
It's very dismissive.
And that was that. And I just felt like, to my face, she just called me stupid. And the other girl didn't say anything. And that was that. And I was about to flip it. I was about to walk up and out the room because she just basically called me stupid to my face. The thing is, I know other people would. It's just you. And I'm like, well, that's not the case.
The ableist attitude.
But that's what I mean is like, you know, you add in the sort of internalized like self-confidence issues that I know women struggle with. The women in my life struggle with it. My partner and my mum both struggle with it. My mum will constantly says if women were only as nice to each other as they are in the girls' toilets of a nightclub in every other day of life, you know, there seems to be a lot of cutting each other down rather than raising each other up. And you add ableism on top of that. What a difficult thing to navigate. It's hard enough, you know, wanting to feel heard or just, you know, respected or listened to without adding on top of all of the difficult stereotypes you're having to navigate through just having personal acceptance of your own neurodivergence. It must be an absolute minefield. And I think one of the reasons as to why the minefield is the way it is because of the rhetoric, which is what we're going to dive into after this short break.
This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults, with prices starting at £900. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment.
Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. You're sat with Simon Scott, Mr. Jordan James, and his wonderful daughter, Sophie. We've been talking all about self-diagnosis, but I think a lot of it deems down to the rhetoric, which we're going to dive into now. So, Jordan, take it away.
Oh, God, right. Okay, so...
He's sitting up, he's getting ready. Here we go.
The biggest problem as far as positive advocacy, and I like to call it real advocacy, okay? So we're not out here going, autism's great. What a kooky, fun thing we have with ADHD, getting caught on doors. Oh, my wife forgets her keys. Oh.
You're a spicy.
Like,
hot.
There is I mean, judge it as you will. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Some of the videos that I see about autism and ADHD, especially when they're combined, are so freaking funny and perfect. My favorite one lately is literally there's 2 dogs by a window and one of them's just sitting there staring and it's got the word autism over. And then it says when autism meets ADHD, and ADHD is like this little chow chow doggy thing. It's just scratching. It's doing a little dance. And as it's dancing, it's moving towards the autism one. And it's just ADHD meets autism. And I'm like, it is so cute. And I love that. I love that because it makes me smile and it goes, look how autism and ADHD, not as in, oh, look at that, but like that, like really reminds me of me. Like my ADHD is coming near. My autism's like, I don't want to move. And my ADHD is like, yeah, you're going to move.
But my ADHD is dying to be best friends with my autism. My autism's like, get the fuck off me.
Just leave me alone.
Stop touching me.
I don't want to go for a walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's really cute. It makes me smile and it makes me feel good. And other people, there's some toxic positivity out there of like, oh, it's a superpower and it's the best thing ever. And it's like, it can be in certain situations and it can't be in other situations. It could be environmental. It could be upbringing. There's so many things. And that's the thing. When it comes to autism, when it comes to ADHD, there isn't one thing that it is. It is a multitude of nuances. And this is the thing about the whole self-diagnosis thing is if you're self-diagnosing, and I hate the word diagnosing. If you're self-identifying, that's the word I use. We identify as a different type of humans, as an ant, alternative neurotype. That's what we are. We are ants. Yeah, baby. 10 times stronger than the average person. I don't know why I'm going with that.
I'm just thinking like Dave Matthews Band Ants marching songs just playing through my head now. But anyway, go on.
We're Alien Ant Farm.
Yeah, why not?
Anyway, so we're ants. And the thing about that is it's not one thing. It's a type of person. So we should be able to self-identify, not self-diagnose, self-identify, and we should be able to be free to say, well, yeah, I'm ant. I'm different. I'm neurodivergent. I'm a different type of human. My synaptic pruning process is unique and different to a neurotypical's. It's also unique and completely different to every other neurodivergent person. But we've discussed that in previous episodes, how that synaptic pruning process happens, because I actually have knowledge and facts about that, because, I actually do my research.
Reproducibility research is a thing.
Yeah. The thing is if you stick just the medical side of it, of course people are going to be like, you can't diagnose yourself. Loads of people might diagnose themselves. I mean, just because, your foot fell off doesn't mean you have diabetes. Maybe you had something different. And you're absolutely right. I mean, there's lots of different things as far as medical that you might think you have this. And we do have, Google doctors everywhere of like, I've definitely got this chronic disease or this condition or that condition. And I completely agree that there is definitely a culture of that ever since the internet was even
Dr.
invented.
Google. Yeah.
Dr. Google, yeah, literally, there's a literal phrase for it. And I get that. And I've Dr. Googled and I've been completely wrong about something that was with my dog. I Dr. Vetted. I vet Googled. And I thought there was something wrong with my dog. So I thought there was this thing. I took him to the vet and I'm like, it's this thing. And they're like, it's not that thing. And they went, did you Google this? And I went, no.
I Yahoo'd it instead.
So I've been completely wrong. So I'm not saying that it's not a valid, complaint to say, oh, you can't diagnose yourself. My point of self-identifying is that we aren't saying, oh, I have this medical condition. We're saying I'm this alternative neurotype, and it is in the nuances. And that's what Sophie's friends are showing, because it's not DSM-5 autism. It's not DSM-5 ADHD, because the DSM-5 is incorrect. And it's not just me saying it's incorrect. It's hundreds, I think thousands of psychologists and psychiatrists saying the DSM-5 is incorrect. For a start, it's in the US. And again, not shitting on US people, but their idea of autism is literally still sitting in the corner, rocking massive headphones on, just a boy.
Yeah, it depends who you ask, yeah.
Yeah, depends who you ask.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, like, it's within their culture. There are so many wonderful advocates out there that are really trying to bring this whole identification rhetoric, this nuances, this living your life and just doing things differently, like we share on this podcast. That's why we call it the Neurodivergent Experience, so people can hear our experiences and they can either go, oh, I didn't know it was like that for neurodivergent people because I'm a neurotypical and I'm listening, or oh wow, maybe I'm neurodivergent because I do a lot of the same things or think a lot of the same things. And I'm not saying that that's what you should think, that you're neurodivergent because you identify with us. I'm just saying that's a possibility. And then it's up to you to make that decision.
We're just showing ourselves, yeah.
Exactly. There might be other neurodivergent people that just feel better about listening to other neurodivergent people, not hating on themselves all day long.
Yeah, and the importance is they can then adapt their life to actually suit them instead of living kind of this neurotypical life that's not doing them anything good.
Yeah, it's giving people the identification label. Right, the identification is about being able to live your genuine self, your life as your genuine self, and stop pretending or trying to be something you're not.
Do you know, I have a question for both of you, and this is something that's just kind of popped into my head. You've used a term that I've not heard you say before: self-identify. Rather than self-diagnose, like self-identify. And I wonder, and I want your opinion on this both, do you think people that have a negative rhetoric around autism, ADHD are more inclined to need a diagnosis than those that have a less negative rhetoric around autism and ADHD and choose to self-identify with it? Because I felt I needed a diagnosis because I was looking for a cure, not because I was happy that I was autistic.
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually think that you're completely onto something there. For a start, let's talk about Sylvia. Let's talk about my wife, right? So obviously I was diagnosed first, but I identified before that. Yeah. And she said to me, no, you need the piece of paper. And I said, I don't need I got it now. Like, I'm a pretty smart dude, right? I get it now, right? I've done a lot of research, right? It's pretty freaking obvious. I understand it now. And she's like, no, you need a piece of paper to protect yourself at work. And I was like, okay.
Like having a driver's license and being caught on the road driving.
Exactly. I know how to drive, but I need a license to drive. Exactly like that. To help her, because she was having so much anxiety, because I've had problems, not, with it. Well, I've had problems in this work and I've had problems in other work. I've had a lot of problems. So it helped her feel better and safer that if I have problems in the future, I'll be more protected. Turned out that wasn't the case. But whatever.
You can get disability rights if you're officially disabled, right?
Yeah.
So they say.
So they say, yeah. So I went to the NHS and I got a diagnosis, official autism diagnosis. Got the piece of paper. I didn't feel any different. Like it's not like suddenly like I'm pregnant and suddenly I'm like, oh, I've got a pregnancy test and now I've got a baby inside. It wasn't new. It was. I'm still the same.
The relief doesn't last very long. Like I find that, or when I got it, or when I've had other people get it, it's like, oh, you get this like anxiety just before you're going to get the paper. Like, oh my gosh, maybe I was delusional the whole time, and then you get something that you already know was there, and you read it, and you're like, yeah, that's me.
See, that's interesting. You say that because there was still a level of doubt with you, even though you knew you were neurodivergent. Like for a start, I mean, again, with me, it was genetic. You're just like me. That's how you recognized it in the first place. You're so much like me. And it's not learned. You can't learn the nuances, right? There's learned behavior and there's a certain element of that to it. Like her personality is very similar to mine. But the nuances, the difficulties that she has, and the hyper focus of special interests and things like that, that's just Sophie. That's not, I'm daddy's doing that, so I'm going to do it as well. That's just Sophie.
Or like for me, when I was at secondary school, so I got a diagnosis when I was actually like towards the end of college, but at secondary school we went and we said, look, I think she's autistic. I think I'm autistic. And luckily my head of year was actually my geography teacher, and she witnessed me like sit on a table on my own. She was like, do you not want anyone else to sit with you? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And so she kind of witnessed me be a bit different to everyone else. She was like, yeah, I can see that. And for me in secondary school, I barely wanted to go to class. And it's not because I didn't want to learn. I really enjoyed learning. I had lots of like aspirations. That was fine. I just hated being in class because I got overwhelmed. I couldn't learn properly. I had processing issues. And so I just needed to be in a separate space. Give me the textbook and I will learn it myself. Look, that's not going to work for everyone. Not everyone should do that, but that's what I needed. And I didn't have the diagnosis because they said it would take ages for me to get it. But they allowed me to do that. They allowed me on those days when I needed it to go and sit in a room on my own and do my work on my own.
Precisely.
And they gave me a beat the queue card for the canteen. So instead of standing in a really loud canteen for my whole lunch break, I could just quickly go and get my food and go and eat my lunch how I needed.
Oh, God, I wish I had that.
Yeah, so she doesn't need a piece of paper to get those accommodations. And no one should have to have a piece of paper. And the worst thing about this whole, don't diagnose yourself is, well, for a lot of people, that's the only option. Mm-hmm. Self-identification is the only option they've got because, as we discussed last week, even right to choose now is being scrutinized as something the government seems to need to cut back on. It's just we as a people, and I mean that, we as a people, not we as a disabled group or we as a disease or a conditioned. We as a people, we as a minority, we as a group are so forgotten, so abused, so chucked to the side.
Let down.
Constantly let down.
Because at the end of the day, if I didn't have those things put in place, even though I didn't have a diagnosis, would I be at the position where I just got a marine biology degree? Would I have got it from the university that I went to? I don't know. Because if I didn't have those things, if we didn't find out that I had processing issues and I had the extra time and I had someone who could read to me and I had my laptop that could read to me, if I didn't find out all of these things and I could, basically my whole college experience was me sitting in a room on my own, learning it myself because I hated being in class. If I didn't have that, would I be here now with what I have? I don't think so. I don't think I would.
Yeah, because you needed that extra time.
I needed it. That's what I needed.
That's the real kicker.
Yeah.
Is that she had to have the piece of paper to get that extra time.
Which is so frustrating because it caps your potential. Because I'm sat here going, what would I have done if I had those accommodations? There was one lecturer that I had at university, and he didn't like me. I didn't like him. And he basically was like, you don't turn up to my class, you'll fail. And I went, watch me. And I got an A in his class, never turned up. And then he capped me down because of attendance issues. And I fought him on it and I got my grade. But it's, that's one of the things that I find so goddamn frustrating. And also, like, on top of that as well, the things that I struggled with, I'm inattentive. I have a highly addictive personality. I've struggled with sleep issues and substance and lots of things. And people have kind of just looked at me and gone, hey, he's just a bit of a fuck up. Rather than going, oh, actually, he's a high achiever that's really struggling with burnout. I'm doing research at the moment where I think I may have been suffering with MCAS because of some of the symptoms that I have with my body and brain fog and IBS and things like that. I'm starting to do research and really, really learning who I am. But the bit that sort of like pisses me off is, me working on this autistic culture podcast. I'm doing episodes about why Taylor Swift is neurodivergent, like Freddie Mercury and David Bowie, and learning about all of these figures that neurotypical people revere, these iconic characters, really quirky, really colourful, really unusual, have unusual speaking patterns, have struggled with substances. We seem to like revere these characters until they become an issue. And that's the bit that I really struggle with is this sort of like self-identification is essential because you can't accommodate if you don't know who you are. You just don't.
And it's almost like a pathway to success. And I've been thinking this whole time that my friend that I was talking about earlier, the one that hasn't got her diagnosis yet, but her brother is, and she's kind of really accepted as like self-identification that she's neurodivergent. And she was working at a cafe. She's really good at her job. She's amazing. She's really passionate. And she was working, and suddenly this dog came in. It was really, really barking. It was really, really busy. There was loads going on. Someone was shouting. This is a story
it's
she
awful.
told me.
I've experienced similar things myself. When dogs bark in bars, I want to kill somebody.
Yeah. And I think she was just having, it was just way too much sensory overload. And she just had to go in the back room and she just started crying. And I think her boss came in and they were like, what's going on? Did one of us say something wrong? And this is the first time she went, I'm autistic. And she just said, I'm autistic, without being like, oh, I think I am, or this or that. She just went, I'm autistic, and I'm just having a moment. And they went, oh my God, okay, now I understand that. We can understand that for you. We can, make these reasonable adjustments. And it was then that, and when she told me that, she kind of realized like, oh, I'd been like, I always knew this about me, and I always knew I was different. And she went through all of these things with CAMS and stuff, and it was never about her being autistic. She had all the same struggle as me. And this is the first time that she said to someone like, this is who I think I am, or this is who I am. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, let's make some reasonable adjustments for you. And so instead of just like struggling now in this job that she had of like, oh, and just like masking it and pretending it doesn't exist and then having extreme burnout, she just said it And now she can just have a much more enjoyable time at work because people understand her.
Must be so gratifying for her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just thought, there you go. Like, that's what's so amazing about it. You're not going to be any worse at your job. You're not going to make excuses. Like, you're not bad at your job. You're great at it. But just those moments when you need it, you have some understanding. And that's what's so important.
Do you feel like
Yeah.
I'm listening to this and this sort of like openly accepting it almost reminds me of a similar conversation I had about when my friend told his mum he was gay. But do you know what?
Yeah,
but do you know what I mean? Like,
I actually did a whole article.
Yeah.
I did a whole article about 4 years ago, and it wasn't directly. But it was about Sylvia. So it was about my wife. And
sorry, go on. I close you.
It was all about. It's called coming out of the autism closet. That's what I called it, right? And it was literally about like being afraid to even admit to yourself that you're autistic or ADHD, like even to yourself, let alone to anybody else. It's so often the case. Like I said, I think even more so when it comes to women. And I do think that there is a sense of, the best way to put this is that Sylvia felt that admitting that there was a flaw, because that's how she viewed autism, as a flaw, not because she's spreading that rhetoric, because that's what was fed to her. No matter what I said to her, no matter how positive I was, she kept seeing articles, she kept seeing TV shows, and we'll get onto the TV shows in a second. She kept seeing that version of autism and being like, I'm not telling anybody that I'm autistic because they'll think I'm incapable. They will infantilize me. They will think I'm stupid. They will think I'm less than. They will make fun of me. And she already has a lot of self-worth issues that she didn't want to add on to that. So she didn't even want to admit to herself. And that's why she needed the piece of paper. And that's what eventually she got. Autistic, ADHD, piece of paper. But even now, she worries about telling people she's autistic, even now, because of the idea that is spread, especially through media, whereas ADHD seems to be far more acceptable. Like, oh, yes, it's ADHD, and it's not, you're not stupid if you have ADHD. But there's still this horrible idea that if you're autistic, you are mentally damaged. You're just damaged. You can't live a normal, quote unquote,
whatever a normal is.
Yeah, whatever a normal life. You can't live a 9-to-5 job, family. You can't live like me.
Yeah,
you can't be me. I can't be autistic according to this freaking image or idea of what autism is.
But it's also, people don't like the thought of other people making excuses for things.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest worries, because I think a lot of people nowadays do understand that you don't have to be a complete, what you see on like the TV or the stereotype, to be classed as autistic, because there's lots of more things on like YouTube and TikTok about it being funny and cute and adorable. But now it's almost this fear of it being an excuse for not being able to do something or complete it to this standard, or be of good purpose, I think that's what people are scared of, like telling other people that I'm making up almost a reason for why I can't be or do things that you can do. But obviously, with the right understanding, that you can do many other things. And if you just did it a different way, you could still achieve the same quality of work or whatever you're doing as another person. You're just doing it a different way. But I think especially like my boyfriend, Christopher, he didn't like telling other people he was autistic or anything like that, because of the image, not just of being seen as disabled or anything like that, but that you're making an excuse up for your strange behavior and how dare you and just get over yourself and just be like a normal person and just get on with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big worry for people as well. They don't want to come across as weak to other people, like they can't do something. And I guess a hint of that comes inside of me when I'm about to tell someone I'm autistic for whatever reason, especially in an academic sense, when I'm in a group of people and I'm going, yeah, I'm autistic. You know, a part of me is going, does that mean that these people are going to see that I'm trying to make an excuse for something and that I'm not going to be like them?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for me as well, because when I was at university, now I look back on it, I struggle with perception sensitivity. I really do struggle with how people view me. And it's something that I do tailspin thinking about a lot of the time. I go, oh, I said that thing to that person. They now think I'm a horrible person. And I sit on it for days and days, and I really struggle to let it go. And I'll even say something I don't mean sometimes in the moment, and I overthink it and overthink it and overthink it to the point of it's disabling. But you know, I think about like what you're saying there, and I'm sure there are times, you know, especially with the excuse thing. But in the same perspective, I guess Jordan and I and yourself could go, well, the reason as to why we're so good at our special interests, the things that we hyper focus on, is because we're autistic. You know, I have a sort of sonic gift with being able to listen to music and theatre and shows and make podcasts, and how Jordan looks through the lens of a camera. And, you know, I'm sure there is this sort of, I don't necessarily like using the word savant because it kind of puts it in the same bracket as like Rain Man. But
yeah, I mean, technically I am a savant. It's an annoying, because of that connotations of Rain Man. I never use that word.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I actually, technically, that is part of my autism diagnosis, is that I am a savant. I don't go on about it.
And I'm the same with my thing, but there is almost like going from having an excuse of reasons as to why I struggle with things. I too, in the same sort of conversation, feel this like huge level of cringe every time I talk about something necessarily positive about myself. Like even when sometimes when Jordan talks about his photography, I'm like, damn, you're so confident about this. I almost feel awkward because I'm like,
that's because I'm unbelievable.
All right then, but that's what I mean is that
See,
feeling.
You can't
but that feeling just makes
even
me just go.
Being positive.
Yeah, it just makes me go like.
It's such a strange thing. I'm like, have you seen my photography?
That's what I mean. It's just like it's a weird reaction.
I get a cringe, actually. Like, it's sad for me to admit, but I get a cringe when I'm admitting that, look, I'm struggling with this thing because I'm ADHD and autistic. I get a cringe inside me being like, oh, I have to say this, and they're going to think I'm just saying all this because I don't want to do it, or I'm lazy, or I'm this, and I'm going to be like, just suck it up and say it because you're going to get good consequences from it. So you just got to suck it up and do it. But, I really hate doing it. And one example is, I was in a big lecture, and at the end of it, I went to the lecturer, and I really wanted to change my dissertation because I had to work in a group for my dissertation project. I did not want it. I did not want to do it. I was like, this is not going to work for me. Like, if I don't want to do it, if I don't want to work with people, it's just not going to go well. And this is my dissertation. I mean, I'm paying to get it.
Yeah, exactly. That was a conversation I had with a lecturer. I'm paying to do this. I'm going to do it how I want to do it, not you, sir.
And that's the thing. In my uni, they give you dissertation. They give you the topic and they say you've got to do this, and you don't really get to change it. But I was like, I need to change it or it's not going to go well. And from other experience, I did not want to work in a group. I wanted it to be my project. But obviously, I don't read a lot of things. I have processing issues. My laptop has to read to me. I miss out on a lot of things. I don't go to a lot of lectures. I get great grades, but that's just how I am. So I go to her and I'm like, I was told by my tutor to go to her and ask her. And so I went to her and I said, can I have it changed? And she was like, no, did you not see that on the Ellie? And I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, I have processing issues. I miss a lot of things. And she's like, well, you should have seen it. Well, it's on there.
It's
and
a good job
like,
I wasn't there.
I was like, okay, take a second. I feel like you're being rude to me. I did say it's okay if I can't change it. I'm just asking, and I'm doing it in a very polite way. There's no need to be like that.
I don't need to be there.
And she was just like, oh, but I've had to tell so many people this. And I went, well, my laptop has to read to me. So I'm sorry that I don't sit there and copy everything and paste it into something for it to read to me. I'm sorry that I didn't. I'm sorry I took 5 minutes of your time. I mean, I wasn't that sassy, but I was like, there's no need to be like that.
Go on, girl.
I feel like you were, but you actually don't think that you were.
And then she said to me, she was like, well, next time get your laptop to read it to you. And I was like, oh.
Ooh,
and she was like,
I'm glad
and she
I
just
wasn't
kept
there
being,
either. I'm gonna get him.
She just kept being like, the answer is no. The answer is no. And I was like, that's fine that the answer is no, but you don't need to act like that towards me.
Yeah,
There's
people
no
are very
need for that. I'm
combative,
telling
aren't they?
you, I have like accessibility, whatever. And you're being like that? Really? And I just, in the middle of her speaking, I just walked out the room. The worst part of it is I turned around, there was a queue of people behind me who watched the whole thing. I was like, oh, okay. And I just went out the room. I walked out in the middle of her speaking, and I just had the biggest meltdown. I just tried to find someone at the uni to talk to, being like, this woman has now just been super rude to me for no reason. Because I'm very polite, and I will say that I'm very polite.
Yeah, that is what everyone tells me.
I found someone, they sent me somewhere, and I felt embarrassed that I had to do this or be like this, but I just was saying that I hate my project so much. I'm autistic. I know I could produce something amazing and get a great grade if it's the right project for me. I'm sorry I only figured this out now. It goes over my head. Like, if I don't see it, I don't know. And that's just how it is. But please help me. And they did in the end. And then I got an email from her 30 minutes later saying like she was having a really bad day, that she was really frustrated, and I was kind of like the last thing. And she was really sorry that she spoke to me like that. And then she was like, of course you can change your project. And I was like, I guess the answer isn't no then, is it?
Oh,
This is the thing that frustrates me, right? Is every time I ask for accommodations, I feel like I'm making an excuse rather than an explanation. How come when authority figures looking for an excuse, suddenly it's an explanation?
Yeah, oh God, every time. Yeah, that's a really, really good point, dude.
Drives me nuts.
And I ended up getting the best project that suited me so well with the right supervisor who was there, and his wife is autistic, so he completely understood me, and he works with me through the whole thing, and was absolutely amazing. So it was hard for me to do that. I felt embarrassed. I had a queue of people behind me looking at me like,
sticking up for yourself.
Yeah, you stood up for yourself. And
I did, and
result.
because of it, I probably did so much better on a project I would have absolutely hated, because I would have had to work with other people where one of the people decides how we do it and dictates it, and I don't get a say in it, and I just didn't want that to happen.
I'm very. God, I'll just say.
I was going to say what. Okay, you go.
No, I was just going to say, what I love about that is that you got your accommodation. What I don't love about that is you had to have a meltdown to get it.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting.
That's the bit
but it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, especially when you get to uni. I mean, this isn't like, nursery school where they've got no idea what autism is or that she's autistic.
And in fact,
they go, I'm autistic.
Exactly.
Like, she's surrounded by autistics. That's just
yeah, good for you.
It's academia. We're all there.
Yeah, I felt like I had a bit of a temper tantrum, and then I got what I wanted, and that didn't make me feel better. I didn't want it to be like that, and that's why I went and asked, and I emailed all these people, and it had to end like that.
Full
Jordan. But the horrible thing about that is then she kept doing the lectures for my whole research project, and I didn't go to a single one, even though I wanted to, because she really upset me, and I didn't want to be near her, and it gave me extreme anxiety being near her after that whole thing where everyone was watching me and looking at me, and it gave me extreme anxiety that I didn't go to any of them, and then there was the consequences because I missed out on information, and just the whole thing went in a cycle again.
Bad educator.
Look at this, right? You have literally explained the same situation that I had at university. And we are so different, Sophie, but yet we are experiencing very similar things 10 years apart. It's,
and that's it. That's when I understand that people are neurodivergent, or I spot it because we have such similar experiences like that. But if they were accommodated to in the right way that worked for us and worked on our strengths, it wouldn't be the same story.
Yeah, that's why we're here talking about experiences. That's what this podcast is. It is literally the neurodivergent experience.
Yeah.
So shall we go for our final break?
Yes, final break time, final break.
Final break.
It's very short, don't go anywhere. And on the back of it, we'll hit the hot topic.
Hot topic.
Have you ever felt stuck in patterns that don't serve you? Struggled with stress or wanted to connect more deeply with yourself? Then I have to introduce you to a friend of the podcast, Ashley Bentley of Integrated Coaching, Breathwork and Hypnotherapy. Ashley is a highly experienced clinical hypnotherapist and coach specializing in working with neurodivergent minds. Through a unique blend of integrative coaching, breathwork, and hypnotherapy, Ashley helps people rewire subconscious patterns, regulate their nervous systems, and step into more empowered versions of themselves. Whether you're dealing with addiction, anxiety, burnout, or struggles with self-acceptance, Ashley offers practical and science-backed tools tailored just for you. Her unique methods combine neuroscience, storytelling, and subconscious transformation to create real, lasting change. Jordan and I can personally attest to the profound and transformative effects of her sessions, which have been life-changing. She does all of these sessions online, meaning she can work with you no matter where you are in the world. If you're ready to break free from old patterns and start living with more clarity, confidence, and connection, go to bit.ly/AshleyNDE to book a free consultation or learn more.
Oh, hot, 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 hot! Hot, 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 hot! Hot topic.
I'm just smiling because that's the first time Sophie's heard that properly. And when it says hot topic, she's like, was that you?
Yes.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was me saying hot topic and Scotty's amazing editing making me sound like some sort of announcer of the new commercial for a Batman movie. God, I'm so old. A commercial.
Commercial on the picture show. Anyway.
On the pictures. We got to the
They're in
pictures.
colour now. Go on.
Okay, guys. Hey, buddy.
Okay.
Anyway, the hot topic, there is oh, Jesus. Okay, so there is a new series of Love on the Spectrum.
Yes, the human zoo.
Love on the... As Sophie called it the other day, she goes, Daddy, you're just watching rage bait.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's the best phrase.
Yeah, I mean, you asked me to watch some of this for this show, and I really found it hard, man.
Yeah, I didn't, to be fair, I still haven't got through it. And I had to play on my phone throughout it just so I didn't fully concentrate on it. But I mean, I do know what happened. That's, I can concentrate on it. But I had to have something nice as well to stop me from getting super upset, because it does upset me. Okay, so let me be clear right from the outset. I do not dislike any single person who takes part in this show.
No,
right?
me neither.
I do not have a single issue with the participants. I don't really have an issue with their families. I don't have an issue with the show in general, the idea of the show, right?
Yeah, the idea is sweet.
The idea is
I like
sweet.
the premise of the show, definitely.
I have no problem with the show existing. My problem is the way that they infantilize every single person in it. They only choose people who appear to be incredibly young mentally. Now, we know from previous episodes that I consider quite proudly that I am a giant man-child. I have no issue with that. Like, this is my cuddly toy. Sophie wants it, it's mine. Shut up, Sophie. I have toys, I have cuddly toys. I am a giant man-child, and I have no issue with that. But don't if I'm talking about that, don't play dinka dinka dinka.
Why the xylophone, man? Every time.
Don't.
It's like having an overweight person going blah 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 blah.
Oh
That's
my
what it feels
God,
like.
yes.
That's what it feels like.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or somebody or like somebody talking about like a tragic story of their background that they were abused, and then someone behind them with a tiny violin going.
And then she left me. Bum 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 bum. That's what it does feel.
It just
very
makes everything very,
it's cartoonish.
very humorous. Yeah.
It's like, oh, look what a joke these subhumans are. That's literally the message that it seems they're trying to spread. Is, oh, look at this damaged goods. Let's all laugh at it. Like a modern day freak show. That's what it feels like. And it shouldn't feel like that, because these are humans. These are real people, and they're lovely. Let me be clear. For anybody out there going, well, I love Love on the Spectrum. Good for you. Wonderful. I'm glad you can get through an episode without wanting to scratch your eyes out.
I saw a clip of a guy the other day sitting at his date table, and he was like, so what do you know about the fall of the Axis powers? And I was like, my man. And I was like, he never got a second date, but she now knows that 1943 was a pivotal year in the war. Like, that's just sort of, been there, bro, been there.
I watched the show, and there's so much of the participants that I can relate to, completely and utterly relate to. And there was a girl on there, and she said that she has all these cuddly toys. Sylvie was there going almost gagging at the amount of cuddly toys that she had, because Sylvie's just like, there's so much dust.
Oh yeah,
like, OCD destroys like the childish autism in us. But I'm looking at that going, that's awesome. And she's not ashamed of it. She's completely, and I love the positivity of the not contestants, like it's a game show. it's the new Squid Game.
You found love, you win.
The participants, I love them. I think they're so good. I don't go, oh, they're so lovely. I'm like, I love them because they're lovely people. They're people.
There's one like I've got in my like ecologia sort of bank is like I heard it on the show on TikTok, and I turn to my partner all the time and he goes, oh look, it seems we both have autism. That's good to know. Like I say it to Caris often. I'm just like, oh, good to know. Like it's just because I just love these. Like I love the people, but what I don't love about it is I watched this show and I genuinely feel like there was like two Australian dudes were sat out on a thing having a cigarette going, see if we can make them fuck. Like that's genuinely what I feel like the entire show is. Oh my
God, that is absolutely... This particular series they are talking about sex so much. And the guy filming it, the interviewing, there's like, oh, have you been intimate yet? And I'm like,
tell us all about your needs, you sexy little fuck. Like that's just, it gives me the creeps, man.
It super gives me the creeps as well, because I'm like, why are you talking about their sex life?
They infantilize them and then sexualize them.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's really creeped me out.
Yeah,
dude.
man, this is why I don't like watching the show. I will watch the clips, the individual clips, but if I sit down and watch that, it gives me the fucking creeps. It just does.
So, wow. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm even more creeped out by it. It just seems like Sophie said, it's rage bait, it's clickbait. It's you're either watching it because you are annoyed at it, of the way it's filmed and the way it's edited and the way the way it's composed. All of that,
and the image it presents of autism, even though they're presenting only one image.
That's what I wanted to get onto. It's not that I don't put it this way, listeners. I know so many neurodivergent people, so many, and they are all like us, just living their life but struggling to live their life, just finding things harder because people aren't making accommodations. But we're not a DSM-5 stereotype. These people are. They are that lack of synaptic pruning that has basically, they are stuck at a certain age. There are a couple in there, and the girl, I'm going to go out on a limb and say mentally she's about 5. She's about 5 or 6. Yeah. Now, I can have moments where I feel like I'm about 5 or 6 and that's all I want to be. I just want to be a little kid and I just want to cuddle my cuddly toys. And for me, it's more like a safety mechanism that I will revert back into that childlike self as a safety mechanism. But I am capable, because of learned behavior, not natural, learned behavior, I am capable of quote unquote adulting. Yeah. I don't feel like an adult. Yeah. And when I'm doing it, I feel like a fraud. Like you guys are going to figure this out in a minute. Though, yeah. It's a huge mask. It's a huge adult. Every time I adult, it's a mask. Every time I parent, that's not a mask. That's my natural instincts. That's natural. Being a parent is actually natural to me. But adulting in like, you know, paying bills and booking holidays and dealing with complaints and going to work, all that stuff is it's just a different version of me. That's not the real me. That's the adult version of me. But these participants, they're either living in shared accommodation with other people, other disabled people, which is sort of living independently, but they have carers, or they're just living with their parents. So none of them are living completely dependently, full-time job, you know. Where are those people? Because I know people exactly like that who are looking for love, who would love to be on that show. Now, there was another show before this show that was called The Undateables.
Oh, yeah. God.
Okay, so I genuinely enjoyed that show because the range of different people with different disabilities, so it's not just autistic, it was a range of different disabilities. They showed people who could never live independently, but they showed people who fully lived independently, had jobs, drove cars, and had families, you know? Like, but they were looking for love. And it was called The Undateables, but then what I liked about it is in the beginning sequence, it would scratch out the un and just put dateables. So really what it was saying was, you think these people are undateable, we're saying they're dateable, and we're going to show you that. And that show was way better than this one. And this one was based, I'm pretty sure this one was just copied off that. They went, do you know who the people who we like the most is all the autistic people? Let's just make a whole show about that. But then they know, the people who made this know, that if someone like Sophie was looking for love, no one's going to watch that. They're just going to be like, well, that's just a dating show.
I haven't watched the first season in ages, but I was watching the first episode of the second season the other day with Christopher. And when I was watching it, it genuinely felt so scripted to make them sound even more disabled. It sounded like it was scripted. The whole thing was put together, and because he was saying like he only likes girls with brunette hair, and the mum was going, "Oh, are you sure about that?" And then she was like, "Well, actually, I've set you up on a date with a girl with blonde hair," and he was like, "What? How dare you?" And it just felt not real. It didn't feel like it felt completely scripted.
Very
it felt
situational,
completely,
isn't it?
Yeah, like, oh, that's a coincidence. It felt hard to watch.
I always think that with these like Made in Chelsea shows where like people walk up and I go, "You're having an argument. Why is there an over the shoulder shot? Where's the cameraman in the next shot? Because they aren't there." And that's what I've seen a couple of clips of this show. I haven't been able to ever get through an episode. I have tried.
Yeah.
I have tried.
It was really hard to watch. It felt how they were portraying these people to be even more, to be even younger than they were, or even more like incapable of understanding things, and just putting this image out there, which is, it's just so hard to watch when I am technically are diagnosed with the same thing. That's really hard to watch. That so many other people watch this. It's on Netflix. Everyone's going to watch it.
And it
does seem like a very sweet, silly show. Like, I put it on because I wanted to watch it. It seems sweet. I want to watch it. I'd watch that while I eat dinner. But you just get this feeling of cringe all over you that it's like, really, this is what you're portraying, what I've been diagnosed as? Like, it feels like complete fraud. Like, obviously there are some people like that, but there is no diversification. There is no realism. It just feels fake and it feels strange.
It really feels forced. The whole thing just feels forced.
And every time I talk to anybody about love on the spectrum, they don't talk about it in an endearing quality. They talk about it as if it's funny.
Yeah, humorous, completely
they go,
humorous.
Oh yeah, like, a friend of mine was like, oh yeah, that kid that was like, he went, oh, we've got all of this in common. And then he was like, I like Batman. She was like, I don't like Batman. And then the guy was like, right, okay, well, the date's over. That's great. And I was like, all right, there is some humor in that. I was like, my man.
Even like, when you say that, I laugh.
Well, that's what I mean. He was like, you don't like Batman? Fuck you, I'm out of here. I love that. But, but at no point did the guy I was talking to about this situation take anything about autism, learn anything about neurodivergence. He just went, people are funny. Ha ha ha.
Do you know what? I think that it's absolutely okay for us to find that funny. And we find it funny because we recognize it within ourselves. That is very different for neurotypicals to laugh at us, because when that happened, and it's like, oh, I like Batman, I don't like Batman. Well, in that case, see you later. I laugh because I'm laughing with the situation, because I'm like, fucking hell,
my hero.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I would have done. I'd have been like, you don't like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you. How are you getting home?
I'm good. You are the most gorgeous woman in the world, but you won't play Mario Kart with me. Well, I think we're done. We're good. See you later. Bye-bye. I absolutely would have done that. And I laugh because I'm laughing at myself. Mm-hmm. I'm laughing at myself thinking, oh, I would have done that exact same thing. That's very different from a neurotypical laughing at this man and going, what a weirdo, in exactly that freak show mentality. And that's what gives me the freaking heebie-jeebies, dude.
Are the couple that in the first season that there was the guy who could do the Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, he was incredible.
Are they in the second season?
This is the third season on now. And no. Also, they keep bringing people back. And I actually said this to Sylvia. I was like, most of these people were in the previous series, right? And I was like, is it because most autistic people like us are like, there's no fucking way that I'd go on that show.
Oh, the struggle.
Not a fucking chance. I'm wondering, because if you have people that are more impaired, because that's the word that I would use, not more autistic or more disabled. Profound. It's more impaired. Yeah, it's more impaired, socially impaired. I don't think that they'd even be able to be on the show. Like, because they're probably just been like, I like Minecraft all day long. I'm not even interested in girls, or I'm not even interested in boys. Like, Minecraft is my own. And I'm not having a go at Minecraft, not being stereotypical. I'm just giving an example of like, there are so many autistic people that are so lost in their own special interests, their own world, that they don't want to communicate outside. They're not interested in the opposite sex or even friendships in general. They're just not. That stereotype does fit some neurodivergent people. It just does. But then there's the people like us. The reason why there's no one like us in that show is because no one like us would ever fucking be on that show, because we have the cognitive understanding that they would literally make us look stupid. And again, let me be clear. I don't think the people in this show are stupid. I think the people making this show are stupid because they make other people look stupid.
It's for entertainment at the end of the day. That's what this show is. It is an entertainment show, no different to Love Island, no different to, Sex on the Beach or whatever these dating shows are or whatever. It's for entertainment purposes. We're all interested in relationships. We're all interested in what the conversation at the table next to us in the restaurant is discussing and who these people are. That's all it is. It's a form of voyeurism.
Oh, yeah.
When-
I mean, that's what
But
it is now,
that's one of the
isn't it?
things that frustrates me about it is, like you said, when I have seen clips of this show, I don't feel like I'm having voyeurism on a neuro-affirming date. I feel like I'm sat there voyeurizing over a situation to point fingers and laugh and go, haha, I don't do that. That's what it feels like. I feel like it's a show for neurotypical people. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I find it sad because I think it would be very entertaining, for example, to see someone like me and Christopher if we went on a first date, and I think people would find that really entertaining and see a very diverse type of person, you know. And I think it's sad that they're not showing that, and they are only showing one type of neurodivergent person. It is really sad, and I think if they did actually expand that a bit more, like undateables to, like, let's say how they're describing it, the spectrum, will, you know, expand and go off the spectrum. Then, they say love on the spectrum, and then they go on one part of it
because their version of the spectrum is linear. That's the problem. And they use that in it. Love on the spectrum. The spectrum isn't linear. You can't be on
3D
it.
space, baby.
Look, everyone listening, and this was confirmed by the late and great Steve Silberman, that this is actually how the spectrum should be. The phrase "in the spectrum." I am in the spectrum. We are in the spectrum. And Steve Silberman, he said, that is literally how it should be. It is not linear. It is all encompassing. It is a circle. It is a globe with it. We are all within it. No, and there is no up, there is no down, there is no high, there is no medium, there is no low. And the thing is love on the spectrum treats the spectrum as if it is linear. And what they decided to do was just get everyone somewhere in the middle, in what they think is the middle of the spectrum. And they go, well, we don't have the high function, we don't have the low function, we just got the mid functioning. We've picked the mid go. And they're like, and that'll do. And you're just like, no, that won't do, because that's not how the spectrum works. It's not linear. Because like I said, I have absolutely been like a lot of these participants. I've been like many of them. Like, I absolutely can relate to the things that they do and
Christopher
say.
on our first date didn't say anything to me other than the fact that he liked lentils. And I was there
Love it.
literally speaking for an hour, and then I got up and left, and that was our first date. And all his housemates said to him, we didn't really, we only had her speak. Like, was it a good date? And he was like, I want to meet that person again.
It's literally ADHD meets autism.
Yeah, my first date with Karis, she literally sat down and started a conversation that she'd already started in her head about halfway through. And she was just like, so anyway, and I was like, cool, let's see what, I don't know who any of these people are you're talking about, but cool.
my favorite first date, my favorite autistic first date is when Simon met his girlfriend, Katie. And basically, it was on my wife's birthday. And he's like, I'm just going to meet this girl. It's like, it's your mum's birthday. And he's like, but I'm going to meet this girl. And I'm like, don't worry. I'll take your mum out. I'll treat her. Don't worry. You go. We just wanted him to be happy. So, you know, he went off.
The house.
Yeah, just bugger off. And he brought her back here because we'd gone out. And then he was like, I've come back to the house with Katie. And we're like, oh, okay. And so when we come back, we didn't want to bother them. He was in his bedroom. He didn't come out and say hello. They just stayed in the bedroom. And she's never left. I think she lives here now. I'm not quite sure. This is now nearly a year ago.
Wow, that long? Bloody hell.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. On May the 25th, and I know this because it's my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
On May the 25th, they will have their 1 year anniversary. So we've actually got to move my wife's birthday party to the 24th so they can have their, because we're accommodating parents and we love our kids and we love Katie. We absolutely love Katie. She's absolutely brilliant. And it was literally like they literally started the date and then it kind of just never ended. I think they're still on their first date because she'll come over here or he'll go to her house. They're never apart, only when they work. And they're basically they're just a couple. And it just kind of just happened. And I was like, and I remember calling you at the time and I was like, what is this? Is this a young person thing? And you went, no, this is a neurodivergent. And you taught me about neurodivergence that day. And which is, I always love that when you can teach me stuff because I'm always willing to learn new stuff. And you're like, no, that sounds like me and Karis. That just sounds like a neurodivergent thing.
Oh, well, on our third date, mate, we bought a house. Well, the first date just lasted a year and a half.
Yeah, literally, it just started.
Like, we went on our first date and it just kind of never ended. Like, genuinely, like, I think on Karis's second date, she came back to my flat because I lived on my own. And on the third date, she brought a toothbrush.
Yeah, if you want to know what love in the spectrum is, listen to this podcast. Listen to us talk about our partners. Listen to Sophie and Chris. Listen to Simon and Katie. Hopefully, maybe they'll come. That's our future episode. We're going to do love in the spectrum. And we're going to just have a whole bunch of neurodivergent couples in one of those, you know, when they get those Zoom meetings and there's like 75 windows, but we're going to have like 5.
Oh God, my computer is going to explode.
Couples, 5 different couples all talking about love in the spectrum.
Just all talking over each other for about an hour.
Or me just talking and Christopher just...
But we had Chris on the podcast, and he's great. When you shut up, he goes.
Yeah,
he's good. It's a bit like me and Mummy actually. If I shut up, Mummy's actually
really talkative.
So talkative. Like she's literally
me and Karis are like that. I'll stop talking, and then I'll be like, right, and you'll go, and she'll go. And then that's it. She starts. You've got an hour.
That's love in the spectrum right there. It's just trying to find a space between each other's like monologues.
Yeah, just breathe in between each other.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, baby girl. I'm so proud that you're working from Monday, but I'm also I'm a very sad daddy. Because I had lots of plans for Nintendo playing next week because I haven't seen you for so long and now you're buggering off to work. But that's fine because I'm very proud.
That's like such an autistic dad response of going, why have you got a job so that we can't play Mario Kart together?
Yeah, literally. I mean, you talk about being a freaking child.
No one understands the problems I face with my parents.
Yeah, it's like we don't want you to get a job because we want you to come and play Mario Party.
Why are you doing your essay? Why are you not hanging out with me?
You freaking nerd.
Like, why? Yeah, literally. Like, I'm just like, I literally this morning, right? I'm sitting down and I'm like, do you want to play Overcooked? And she's like,
I have to do my essay.
I must do employment now.
I literally was like, had like a rain cloud over my head of the depression of just like.
I feel bad for doing my work. I'm just like, I'll be an hour. I'll be an hour.
I had to play Mario Kart online all by myself.
Karis does it with me. She'll knock on my door and she'll stand there and she'll be like, are you coming out to play now? I'm like, no. I've got a mortgage to pay for. And she like goes, just like disappears. And about half an hour later, I just hear her like scratching on the door like, meow.
That's you.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Sophie, I've loved talking to you today. And if you're indoors now, we'd love to have you back as a more regular sort of contributor. I think that would be brilliant because what you've brought today has been awesome. So thank you very much for that.
Right.
Cool. Right, should we go then?
Can we go and play now?
I'm hungry.
Oh, I'm hungry too. Let's eat and then go and play.
Yeah.
Gonna play game.
Overcooked.
Most stressful game ever. It's a real test of a relationship. Overcooked.
My favourite game.
We've been playing it. We're on the 4th world already. We've only been playing it for like a day. We're on the 4th world already. And we hit 3 stars every single time. We are so bloody in sync that we barely even talk. Every now and again, Sophie's like, throw me that lettuce.
Throw me that lettuce.
No, we got to the hot air balloon mission and Karis started to cry after I started going, hands, chef, hands, chef. Corner, chef, corner.
That one.
Yeah.
That's not, that wasn't even a challenge, bro. Wasn't even a challenge. We like
We bought the
everything in
game.
it.
We got to that mission. We never played it again.
I'm very passionate about overcoming.
Yeah.
Hands,
I like-
chef, hands.
I'm head chef. I will always be head chef.
I have no idea who head chef is. I'm just like, I'll do washing up now.
Anyway, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.